Hey, it's Joel Wolzman, CEO and Master Electrician of Jefferson Electric. Today, two-day job actually, we're going to pull this equipment out of the old facility, relocate it here to the new facility to operate this brake and press, and then an industrial air compressor wired start to finish in Conduit, and I'm glad to say I still have my eyebrows, so let's go. Here we are. It's Joel Wolzman, CEO and Master Electrician of Jefferson Electric. This is a good customer of ours, just got approved for a $60,000 to $70,000 project that's starting to grow. And it's a roofing company. There are two presses that sat here that have been disconnected and removed. And our job is to disconnect the power, make safe, and be queued up and ready for the installation of two dedicated 3-pole, 30-amp circuits at their new facility. That's almost 50,000 square feet starting tomorrow. This is one of those little, like, generally speaking, the term squeeze a project in is bad language. It's a filthy word because squeeze in means cramming, which forces at times the compromise of commitments, quality, costs, whatever the case may be. However, this one is going to take shape nicely. So let's disconnect this equipment, take the parts and pieces with us, and we'll be ready to reinstall them tomorrow. This has been really nicely labeled. Shot panel circuits 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, and 23. Boom. That's it. All right, just want to take my good multimeter before anybody gets blown off their shoes here. And that's dead. That's dead. You just clipped any old piece of bare steel. Dead. 11.7. Negligible. 11.2. Yeah, you won't feel that. What I've chosen to do here is leave this disconnect behind. It's nicely labeled. It's suitable for future purposes. And a new disconnect like this, little, general duty, is only going to be another like 50, 70 bucks on the project per disconnect. Yeah, so there are two of these disconnects. I'm not going to save that much by taking them with me, but they're good for whatever purpose this circuit would serve in the future. So it is now a spare. There it is. And I'm going to just put a KO closer in there, which I've anticipated and brought in with me. Okay, there's step one. That's disconnected and safe. Now we just need to take the equipment down, take it with us. I've got no need of it here. I like saving my lock nuts. I might repurpose this exact same setup at the next facility. And everything from here to the end of that whip is material that I've not included in the install price. So I don't want to have to eat 200 bucks of materials when it's all perfectly good. Service Tesla, I really do love it. It's just, this part gets a little crunchy if you're trying to do this, on the fly. So I know these guys because they put two roofs, one on an investment property and one on the former Jefferson Electric facility. See, guys in the trades love to have buddies and stick together and use each other to get stuff done. So they're just moving locally to a larger facility. Fantastic company. Glad to be associated with them. While I was in here taking a look at this little $3,500 job, not related to their $65,000 job at the new place, they brought up literally a local high school, a roof they're putting on it. The school inquired with them about solar energy. Back in the napkin calculation, the discussion we had in the owner's office before I walked out was a $500,000 job. No exaggeration. So it's tending the relationships with integrity and excellence over time has phenomenal potentials. That's my thought. What are your thoughts? Drop in the comments. And if you're interested in more videos like this about estimating practices, small service calls, do's, don'ts, check the description. There's a playlist for you business owners. That was the old shop, and this is the new shop. You can see why they moved. Fantastic vertical clearance, 50,000 square feet, steel frame structure. It's beautiful. We are doing a $65,000 project here for their office build out. They're gonna have like 12,000 square feet of very comfortable offices. Now let's take a look in the back at the northwest corner where we're working today. Here's the panel we're coming off today. It's a 3-phase panel, 200 amps, conduit straight up. I'm using an 1.25" conduit because this panel is almost full. J-box at the top, reduced to 3/4 inch across the ceiling. Hang a hard left down the wall, and we'll be wrapping up at this air compressor right here. And that's it for today. It's a T&M job. This is a good customer for us. They've got a bigger project going with them, and we've got to take care of the little stuff that comes up when it comes up in a timely fashion if we're going to keep them. In addition to my work today, we've got Cliff back here on his knees hooking up the equipment we pulled out earlier in this video from the last shop. This is press 1, press 2, and that's Cliff 1, and there is only one, the one and only. Let's take a look quickly at the tools and materials we're using. This is a very small tool set. Basic electrical hand tools, bandsaw, which is beautiful for cutting the strut and conduit, cordless drill for penetrating my J-boxes, conduit bender for 3/4 inch EMT. Rather than hauling out the 1.25" bender, which weighs like 80 pounds, I just bought one pre-made 90. Electricians sometimes laugh at that, but that's efficiency, bro. Got a Southwire grip it. That's circuit size for 10 to 14 gauge wire. That's gonna save me time. That's beautiful. 2-pole 20 amp breaker, 4 and 11 squared J-box, 10 squared J-box, 3/4 inch EMT connectors, couplings, minis, Electricians hole saw kit, and some other things standing by. Let's go ahead and get to work. Are you in the hand tools for as much as possible crowd? Or are you in the power tools for everything possible crowd? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What's your default? Value add for your customer, right? We rented this, brought it to the job site. However, the day-long rental is the highest per day rate. I think it's cheaper for the week and the month. So if the contractor knows they're gonna have a lot of this kind of work and they wanna facilitate costs and drive those down, they could have one lift on the job site that they've got here for the next 3 months while they're doing the setup and fine tuning, and they could pay a much lower overall cost than every independent contractor coming in paying both delivery and pickup charges, because these things are beastly heavy, right? You're not just gonna roll these in the back of a pickup truck. And so there's a low cost saving measure, but that was not available to us on this job, so we rented it. I didn't bring the bender. There's an existing hole in the top of the panel. I don't get to drill the hole, so I'm stuck needing like a 3/4 inch offset, something that's awkwardly small. I'm gonna use the underside of this lift, which is nice and smooth and very, very strong and heavy, to bend that. To make it easy on me, I'm gonna use the 90 to do the bend. So I know that is gonna be the direct opposite of that. And so that's just a little facilitation. And 2 quick cranks without pulling a muscle in my Monday morning neck, and we'll be good. Could be ugly, we'll see. Oh shoot, hopefully I get to put that to the wall. Just loosen that up. I think we might have gotten it. I'm gonna have to trim conduit down just a bit, but I'm flexible on the length of this vertical piece because I'm hitting the back side of a J-box. So maybe we got it. Boom. So the end of the conduit got dented against the floor, which would not happen in a bender. So I'm just gonna trim that off, refile, and off we go. I'm gonna bring my trash box over here. It's just handy to have that much more room, especially when you've got all this stuff up here. Let's go, bro. One thing about routing conduit is you've got to have the start to finish plan before you start running any conduit, right? I'm not saying you have to have all the materials, but you have to know exactly where that conduit's gonna go and that it's an actual feasible plan before you start routing the first stick, because what you might find out is, nope, we're actually not going overhead, we're going underground. You just never know what it could be. And so route that thing start to finish. Consider your max 360 degrees of poles between junction boxes and pole points. Consider, but that's my thought one, route the whole thing. Thought two, feasibility, codes, and materials. And then consideration number three is get some coffee. So you gotta, this is really critical, guys. You gotta flatten out the straps, because if they're splayed like that, they're not actually as tight as they can be. And what they'll do is they'll move over time and they'll wiggle up and you'll come back to it and you'll be like, this thing's moving. See that was tight, but now it's moving. All right. I'm not actually looking for true level here, true plumb, right? Believe it or not, I'm not looking for it. I'm looking to match what's existing. As long as it's not horrendous, and this is not. I just want to be trued up with the existing conduits. And so all my fittings and fasteners are straight. I'm starting to hug a little bit to the left at the top. That'll get solved right there. And that looks good. If you're too up close on someone, just have somebody who's standing back give you an eyeball. And that, my friends, is that. All right, I'm just gonna set that there. Look, I've got my mag holder. It's just gonna hold my fittings for me so I can kind of queue up, put 2 or 3 fittings there, and I don't have to bend back over, stoop and pick them up. It's beautiful. Sometimes it gets in the way where you like stick to the side of the deal and you're like, yeah! It's pretty hard, man. It's got a lot of bite to it. Strap number 2, you gotta watch out. These come in 2 configurations for both thin wall and thick wall pipe. So you're gonna have a different stretch strap for EMT than you're gonna have for RMC, IMC, PVC, the thick stuff, and the STD standard, that's the thick wall stuff. So if you've got a warehouse assistant, that's just part of the training program. Which straps are you talking about? If you got an estimator, that's part of the specificity. They've got to consider and include in the job. Okay, that's looking good right there. I'm using a number 2 square drive. I'm using my beater tools, not my VDE stuff. Nothing here is energized on what I'm working on. Of course, the adjacent stuff is. All right, now it's time for that 90. I'm just gonna have it coming straight out at a perpendicular. Here's one thing about tightening these larger EMT fittings. You gotta tighten one side, then tighten the other, and then you gotta come back and retighten, and then just double check that and retighten that, because you got 2 screws at play on thin wall pipe, they'll actually start to mash down the pipe. Don't death grip it. You just want snug, right? I want all movement to be out of the fitting, but if I just bore down on that, I'd end up stripping the screws or crushing the pipe more likely. So having the right feel. And again, if you had a lightweight M12 power tool and you had the right bit, boop, boop, turn down to the lowest setting, I think that's not a bad application, but I like the hand tools. I'm carrying very little weight. I'm very nimble. My setup time, like this is all my standard stuff, right? My setup time was very minimal. This is time and material for the customer. And so I want to be cost efficient. People get the sense in your tone, attitude, behavior, preparation, if you're not valuing their schedule and their dollars, they will pick up on that and they will not call you back. That's my opinion. 90's on, time for the J-box. Slice this plastic open. This is a 10x10 indoor. That's a NEMA 1. Hello. Comes with a bunch of knockouts. Just very, very cost-effective, user-friendly. Look at that thing. Really can't go wrong on that. What I'm doing here is I'm going to set it up like this. I'm going to come 90 out of the top and run my 3/4 inch EMT across the ceiling in the established raceway pattern there. But the reason for the 1¼ and the 10x10 J box to here is simply future expansion. That panel has additional capacity, both ampacity and breaker spots. And so taking the last space, putting in nothing but a 3/4 inch conduit, which I will substantially fill up today with the wire I'm pulling, 30–40% fill up today, leaves no room for growth. So by putting an 1¼ in place with a nice 10x10, anytime they have future circuits to pull out of here, they'll literally pull that THHN up and through and take off across the ceiling. I probably just saved the next guy, shoot, 150, 200 bucks a job coming out of this panel from this point forward with a little simple consideration. And I didn't even add 200 bucks to the cost of this job to do it. Plus, this being time and material, I picked up that additional and put it in my pocket while serving everybody and everything well down the road. But what I'm looking for right there, see what I want to match up my 3/4 inch knockout right there in such a way that my 3/4 inch pipe lines up in the cavity I'm shooting for. I also can't be too high because I need to catch this 90. And I could drill holes, but I want the existing holes in the back of the box to line up right there with the beam clamps. I'll put a 1/4 in there. So I'm trying to line up 1, 2, 3 in a way that doesn't require any extra drilling or work. I'll spend a couple, 2–3 minutes on the front end to do that. This is what we're looking at on the back side. It's going to be back-to-back fittings. So I'm going to slice this thing off right here, and it looks like it's going to match up just perfectly. I'm going to try that for starters. So it's kind of interesting. Have you ever been in various environments that require special considerations, like let's say explosion-proof environments, or an environment in which you couldn't have had any metal filings loose? Drop it in the comments. I'm interested to hear, what was it? What was the reason for those requirements? When I was an apprentice, we worked on some fuel farms, right? So big tanks of various flammable gases, liquids primarily. And we had these anti-flame retardant suits, head to toe. Mine was green. And my future father-in-law, I was dating his daughter, he goes one day over lunch, he's real like calm demeanor, and one day over lunch he goes, "Look at that, you're Christy's favorite color." And so it's just one of those phrases that just hit me right. So now frequently, if I'm wearing green, I'll look at my wife and say, "Look at this, I'm your favorite color." All right, reason for reaming the conduit is code. You want to ream the inside to avoid damage to the conductors, ream the outside so that the fittings will install well, and then also if there's a big burr and you shove it on, it might fold that inside to then create damage to the wire. It's time to fit the conduit with this nice little piece I cut and bring it back into the back side of the box. Get everything lined up in a way that's just right. Mark the box. So I'm going to look at it from below, from the side. I think that's where we want to be right there. That's where I'm going to drill my hole. There's my hole saw. I'm going to pilot with just the mandrel, because as soon as that hole saw pops through, this mandrel pops through the steel, this is going to grab and engage, and it's going to torque real hard, and it's going to want to shear that off. In addition, I'm going to drill this from the backside because that's where my markings are. I could transfer them inside, but I've got a good reach and I can sneak up a little closer. That's part of having the benefit of the cab extended, is I'm not even close to the electrical panel down there, but I'm still close to my work up here. So I'll drill this from the backside, and then I'll come back through from the front side once my hole is in with my hole saw, which is being held by my mag holder, and we'll be ready for the next step. Some of you complain that I'm not using enough hydraulic equipment, electric punches, too many hole saws. You know, for our work mix, a hole saw kit like this, nice Lennox brand, made for electricians, all the right sizes, that's like 175 bucks for like a 40-piece hole saw kit. That makes a lot of sense. When you're equipping a fleet, 33 trucks, you've got to make budget decisions. Now we have a couple hydraulic, no electric yet, hole saw punches, and that makes sense because we do some of that kind of work too. But I've got one hole to make today. One hole, and I've done it very quickly and cost effectively. So I think you've got to know your business and you've got to get the right mix on it. And you can't just buy the tools that everyone else is buying, in my opinion. Can't afford to. Now we filed it down, it's time to tighten up our fittings and everything. We're good to go here, bro. It's time to tool tighten everything up. Cameraman made a good point. He was like, should you have maybe taken that box down before you drilled it? Really would be wise to only be drilling secured work. And this was only tool tight, so if that drill had really kicked and the teeth had caught real badly, it could have thrown this J-box right off the beam. Maybe. Right, so now I'm snugging it all down. It's time to run a 3/4 inch EMT. What I've decided to do, because knew I had a nice little setup here and I was leaving 360 degrees of knockouts clear, I'm gonna come out of this knockout, 90 across the top and shoot. We gotta clean. Oh, there's other work to be done in this building. I'm looking at it now. Dang. All right, 3/4 inch knockout, up and over. Let's rock and roll. Hey, if you think there's a must-have tool for this project that I'm not including, let me know in the comments. I'm interested. It's time to bend some conduit. Hello. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bend it right up here on the lift. I didn't bring my folding rule up, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bend enough that I've got extra, but also my target is actually out here. And so I'm just gonna bend it long enough, lay it in there, see where it falls, cut it off. I'm gonna solve my no folding rule problem because it's over there on the ground. And I'm gonna solve my measurement being over here at my support. That's my height. So let's do it. Time to work my conduit up into place. Always look up before operating the lift. Plan your route, know your path, watch your head. I'm wearing my bump cap. There'll be a product link in the description to what that thing is right there. That's a bump cap. You guys have heard me talk about that. I'm gonna keep dust out of my eyes. I'm gonna keep scars off my head, especially since I'm thinning. Those scars are gonna show up here. I'm gonna keep hair out of my eyes. It's all in one, bro. Well, just like any good junction box, it now has one Phillips and one flat head screw in it. Boo. All right, keep heavy pressure on the shoe of the bender. In this case, my left foot down there. Bring it up to a true 90. And there it is. Boom. And the reason I can be so quick and dirty on this is because my target is pretty broad. I'm just trying to head that way and I can secure along the purlins anywhere. It's time to dial in this plan just a little bit more. I want a measurement off the beam to the center. And that, my friends, is 11 3/8 to the center. And that's actually, we're gonna dial that in. So I'm gonna cut that conduit back so that I'm targeting center. I can remove the fastener, set a mini, bring it down. I've got a piece of strut to go in there to support my switch. It's gonna work out. Whoa, I just got a free DeWalt driver. I wouldn't have left that up there. Success is when you accomplish something yourself. Significance is when you enable others to accomplish something. So at the end of the day today, I'm looking for success. Haven't accomplished this job, but typically in role as a business owner, that's significance. When you've got other people that you get to facilitate in their flourishing, that is significance and satisfaction. And that's the role I like to play best. This electrician thing, it's not a bad gig either. Check off the beam, and I'm gonna use that center line of the fitting to match, and I'm actually gonna physically go ahead and put a Sharpie mark so I mount that fitting, that mini, know exactly where I'm targeting before I try to start supporting the conduit. So it's EMT must be secured within 3 feet of every termination and every 10 feet thereafter. And there's some exceptions in there. and I'm going to utilize those to my advantage. 42.5, but it's an open 90. It's more like 110, so we'll just do a little trial and error. 3/4 EMT is quite forgiving. Did I say 49.5? Let's just double check that. As the old saying goes, 42.5. There it is. Our dimension is 42.5, so I'm at 36.5 because my bender is, and 3/4, pretty standard as far as I'm concerned, deducts 6 at this from the arrow. So I'm going to bend that up. I'm going to have it be open, so it's like a 110. And we're at 42.5 aggregate by the time you have 36.5 plus the 6-inch radius of the bend. That's how that works. So there's the arrow right there. It's marked on the head of the bender. That's my target. There it goes. Nope, gut says a little bit more. Let's try that. We'll be ready for the lift when we pull wire, but it'll be lunchtime first. Finalize my plan. So what I could do is put a piece of strap from here to there and mount the switch to it. This is all just hollow. Bounce over here. How long is that? Okay, it comes off here. That's our switch. Nice 2-pole, 250-volt switch. 3 mounting holes. Man, I think we just self-tapper that. Right to it, come right in the top. That's what we're gonna do. Put it right there. Let's get set up for our wire pull. Fish tape, wire cart. If you are gonna be pulling THHN, you don't have a cart kind of like this. I mean, these things are worth their weight in pure titanium. It's really fantastic. It makes it one man. It came like this from the shop, loaded it in the truck like this. Such a labor saver. I want to put it over here. Set it up right there. Time to send the fish tape. I wanted to shove right through that box I put on the ceiling. I don't want to have to get up there, so I'm going to make that as straight as I can. So hopefully it goes right in one conduit, through the box, and straight out without having to get the lift up there because it gets a little crunchy back here. So let's send it, Jimmy. This is de-energized. I'm not going to come out of the conduit and into the panel over there. One, it's a live panel. That's a steel fish tape. But 2, I just need to come out of that J box on the ceiling, and then I'll drop my wires, which are on the floor, cut them to length at the panel, and shove them through. Like, it's going to work out great. Famous last words. Danco here, man, it's always good to hear this story, right? Privately held, relocated here to 4 times the space. Got about 50, 55 team members, growing like crazy. You know, companies like that are, oh, get that tape off of there before that jams up my fish tape. Get my knife. Companies, here's the phrase. If you get better, your customers will demand that you get bigger. That's the right way to build. If you get better, they'll demand that you get bigger. Not only that, but your pool of job candidates will demand that you get bigger because they're trying to knock down your doors to get hired on. We've got more high schoolers graduating, sharp kids who don't want to go to college, who want to start in the trades, more than ever. That's a fantastic thing. Our job candidate list is longer than ever. That, to me, is one of the primary indicators of company health when people are trying to break down your doors to get in. If you get better, they'll demand that you get bigger. It went right through. Did we come out of the box?
You're out of that box.
Oh. Busy, busy, busy.
So I'll grab the top one, we'll grab the bottom one, and then this we'll just slide it onto these bolts. And then we'll just leave it there and I can tighten it down.
Okay, 12 seconds. You got it.
So these are the buck transformers to lower the voltage for these Schechtel machines. We're hovering at like 246 to 250, and it needs to be at about 230. So we're going to bump it down to max of 230. So we're dropping it about, what do we determine, 20 to 30 volts?
Like, yeah, 16.
16. Cool. All right, here we go. I'm good. Look at that.
The bottom we'll have to fix.
Sweet. That's what you call getting everything dialed in. Measure it up, line it up. Good job, Cliff. Thank you to Southwire for the Grip It circuit sized pulling head. This thing is just so convenient. It's my first time. Look at that. Incredibly simple. Let me show you how it works. Release the spring to close it over the fish tape if you want. Don't have to in this case. Fish tape is open. I'm going to pull a ground. And I probably have to make it up in the J box. This ground is too short. This is good for 10 to 14 gauge wire. I'm going to stick it in. Well, let's try this. Still thinking it through. I've not used this before. Stick it in there. Double it back. Do I have to double it back? I don't think I have to. There it is. There's one. There's two. Might have to junction that as well. And I will use, I'm going to use red. It's a little shorter, but plenty long. This is the 10 gauge wire pulling cart. There it is. So that's all made up. And it's got a, you can see the shape of that notch right there. So it bites. The wires bite in there. They're in there like super tough. I'm going to tape this up since my head is a little bit open. I don't want to lose it if I have to back it up at the J box. So it's more simplistic than taping up all my conductors. And now here, in a matter of less than 60 seconds, including taping my head, I'm all set to pull. That's it. Just bend them over. You can do up to 7 conductors. Where has it been all my life? Yep, it's pulling now. Yeah. Yeah, pull back a little bit. It's the fish tape itself. It's getting caught. There it goes. You're gonna keep tension on your fish tape so it rolls up tight and doesn't just get real sloppy internally. Sloppy, the coils getting tangled up on themselves. We were just informed that we have to be out of here by 3:30. I was like, can we lock the door behind us? Nope, gotta lock everything down at 3:30. That's the first I've heard about that, but I could have asked. What's my out time? And it is currently 2:29 p.m. Let's go. Well, it's too bad. We didn't know our wires were probably gonna, we were aware that our wires are gonna end up a little shy. And so there's our pulling head, but the good news is we've got max utilization of, nearly so, of those 500 rolls of THHN. We're just gonna drop off black and green. We're gonna keep that color scheme. And that's one of the beautiful things about a flexible circuit pulling head like this, is it's just so easy to do that. So just pinch them down, back on track, pull that out. We'll make up our joints. THH that have been all spooled up so they don't get incredibly tangled. Here goes, feeling the time pressure, that 3:30 deadline. Merit-based shop, don't want to have to come back. Our guys will be here for additional work, so if we need to identify some loose ends clearly in our company cam app and send them back here, we could do that. All that's required here is 12 gauge for the 20 amp. However, we've sized it up so that when additional wire is pulled through this conduit and we've got a D rate for conductor bundling, then we're going to be the right gauge to have some pretty hefty D rates and still be properly sized for that 20 amp circuit. So just again, a little bit of future planning for the future. And that's what I mean by all tangled up. They just twist, double back over on themselves and kind of just open it up. It's not actually tangled. That's the thing, it's just looped. Which you might say is a tangle. I don't want anybody tapping into this circuit. I'm not gonna leave a service loop. Bonding bushing is not required by code. We're just taking precautions. So there's a mid strip on that guy. He's gonna tuck there into that lay-in lug. I would like to have a couple of forked stay-cons, panduits, but no, I don't. So I'm gonna pull that screw out entirely. I'm gonna cut my red to length right there. I'm gonna do this. Peel back that much. I'm gonna pull back a little. Something to keep the ends together. There it is. So now the ends are insulated and unified. Then give it a wrap. Stick it in there. It's a real tight fit. I was happy with how the first one turned out. There's just something that's beautiful about forked stay-cons. Me and my service Tesla aren't pulling it off today though. This is 10 gauge wire. This is plenty much oversized for that 20 amp circuit. Now press that down. Could have shorting on the side. I'll probably take a wrap on the tape. This is not a code requirement. A lot of people think it is. It's just a best practice, and this is going to be a full metal box with a 240 volt 20 amp dedicated circuit. So let's just provide a buffer there. This is what I'm doing. I've got one fork stay-con, a lay-in lug, and I'm going to ground it like this to the box. It's a little bit crowded, but I think that's what's gonna work best. The time is 3:04. Is that gonna fit? Ooh, no, I don't think so. Dang. Okay, let's try something a little different. Dang, look at that. It's just too big. And that's so wide, it's like a pregnant cow. Dang, what a little holdup. A lay-in lug is way too big. Back to the original regarding that screw. Make sure it's a good flush fit. Forks aren't backing out. That's nice and tight. Do everything I can to get it in there. Make sure nothing's pinched. But man, does it fill the whole cavity. Could have generously given us another ½ inch. Here I am complaining. It's a good fit. I'm not gonna crank it down because I don't want to pinch something. Short it out. Take it easy. Take it easy. All right, a little bit more. Feel the resistance. Okay, it's working. We're adding a ground bar. There's not a ground bar in here. This is a high leg delta, right? So 120 volt with reference to ground, 240 nominal, which is actually running about 250, and then 120 with reference to ground and neutral. So 126, 250, 127 is what we've got here. We do not have a neutral on our circuit, so we're going to utilize phase B, which would be 1, 2, 3, right there. Some of the shop guys were wiring up lights. In fact, that's being replaced. We're wiring up lights, and they didn't know about high Lake Delta, which is clearly marked here. Let's not do that. Clearly marked here, and they wired up, come on, shop lights to the high leg that were not rated for 250 volts, and they just popped, fried, like literally. He said he blew the exit sign off the wall over there, which now it's a brand new exit sign. But he said it shot off the wall, like popped the cover off, blew the transformer inside. It's pretty entertaining. Snap, snap, good fit. Okay, that's where we're landing our circuit. We'll get it labeled. And I did leave an Easter egg in this video for you guys. I fixed it, but tell me if you find it. Tell me if you find it. There, that larger lug is gonna be nice to have. I don't need it today, but they'll have it. That's going in on the right. I'll go ahead and I gotta grab my tap to put that in. Let's just terminate these. 36 inch-pounds of torque. Again, no neutral. All right, let's torque that down. 36 inch-pounds. Pay attention to what you're doing. There it is. Oh, that one's kind of rounding, it feels like. Is it there? Different, sharper bit. The number 2 square was kind of rounded. There it is, but didn't need much. Okay, always reduce your torque tools to the lowest setting or whatever the instruction manual says. You don't want to throw off the torque by leaving them up at 36 inch-pounds for days or weeks on end before you use them again. Okay, now it's time for grounds to be installed. Exciting. It's just these two, and then there's one double tapped over there. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna gladly charge them to come back and make this right. We've got some open knockouts down here, one over there. I don't know if they're in the market for like a cleanup or not. But you could spend a little time. This stranded THHN just flops all around. It's hard to make it beautiful in a tight panel like this. And like a nice commercial panel, it's gonna be wider, and you're gonna have a lot more space for wire management and right angles, and this is just a little busy. Drilled and tapped the first one. Let's go ahead and get it in there. Boom. Hit something. Dang. And that's why you de-energize it. Well, that was exciting. I probably lost my screw. I'm known for being a little quick at times. Yeah. Yep. There's my screw. I didn't lose it. I'm looking around for something that's what's scorched. I'm gonna grab my light, turn off the power. Oh, look at this. This is exactly, that's exactly what hit. Dang it. The ground popped and hit the main terminal and blackened it. That, my friends, as they say, subscribe to Electric Pro Academy for near-death experiences to make real wisdom. I'm just gonna go turn off the power here. We're back. It's de-energized. I have to say, I feel a little sheepish, a little embarrassed, a little you know, foolish. I was a little hasty there. You guys have been telling me, Joel, take it easy, slow it down. And it's that ground that just popped right there and did a little arc welding on that main terminal. Just silly. Man, sure does pay to wear eye protection, like little bits of flying copper. I don't know that anything hit me, but that was dramatic. Here's the second one. Come on back here. This is a Greenlee drilling tapping bit. Does both actions at once, so that's tapped it down to an 832, which is the mounting screw that comes with the ground bar. So it's just real quick and convenient. It's about a $50 set. Klein makes them, a variety of people. Let's get them grounded. Why not? We've got the EMT for this application, this equipment, by code, what is it? 250.120.118. 250.118. This is a suitable equipment ground. We just wanted to go a little bit further since it's valuable equipment and provide dedicated equipment ground. It's kind of silly that I'm in the bottom terminal. Let's just bring it up a little bit because there could be future circuits going out of the bottom that they're like, gotta crisscross me now and I'm coming from the top. Hey, if you guys like shorting conductors, check out this video on catastrophic failure. It's a real good capture of what electricity looks like when it explodes. That's it for our grounds. I think it's time to put the cover on, write them a additive change order for panel cleanup, test the circuits, haul out. Like I said, additive change order for this panel. Oh, that one didn't grab. Oh, I bet that'll grab. Nope, that one didn't grab. Weird. We're at the main distribution gear. This is a big one, 1200 amps. Wow. Here goes. This says new building power, which must be the expansion. Three, don't explode, don't explode. 2, 1, had enough of that for today. Air compressor is on here, good. Let's label that. See if that'll fit on the breaker. Start with one at a time here. This breaker's on, here it goes. Reason for this is for lockout tagout. So you can have that in the off position and stick a shackle through there, keep it in the off position. But we don't need that right now. It's time to... Okay, well Cliff, this looks nice. We've got 2 single-phase transformers because it's a 3-phase system. This is how it's set up, repurposing customer materials. So this will do buck each leg 16 volts. That'll buck the third leg 16 volts. And we've got that duplicated on the left, just like we do on the right. And then we have this SJO family of cord running to feed the machines. And it's back here out of the walkway. I think it's time to throw a breaker. I'm gonna put a tester on here. You wanna hit the first one? We'll determine which is which. All right, hit the first one. That's it. There's our high leg, 220. Hot to ground, 125. So our voltage has already dropped a little bit over here. We're gonna energize the machines. All good, Cliff? I'm gonna do one at a time. We're gonna shut it back off if anything sounds funny. You know, I'm not an industrial electrician. It's always kind of a little bit like a inhale before doing this. But you think we're good. Ryan's the shop supervisor, and he's the one who disconnected these at the other shop. He's exactly aware of what to do. There it is. If there's any issue. And we're good to go. I'm actually gonna leave them in the off position overnight. No reason not to. For today, it's done, and my heart is settled. Big picture, we've got 4 more weeks of work to do here. So subscribe to Electric Pro Academy for real skills to make real money.